What is up, guys? So yeah, welcome back to another video, and again we're working on the Clio. We've managed to get some bits done today, got most of the final parts that we needed, and yeah, so we should be able to get a lot done hopefully. I'm aiming to get that side all tied up and done. We've got all new parts down here, so I've got 2 litres of gearbox oil, I've got some engine oil, I've got some brake fluids, I've got a fuel filter, oil filter, and the other wheel bearing for this side basically. And then this is the arm that I've had a new bearing pressed into, so got a new fresh bearing in there. And yeah, so I was waiting on getting this done, and hopefully we can get this fitted all tonight. And obviously this thing, the hub arm, basically ties everything together, so I really needed to get that done. And yeah, got that done yesterday, so that should be good. We've got a new hub nut, and yeah, so yeah, we should get some good progress done today, guys. Hopefully all goes smoothly putting it back together. I've got an assortment of bolts and nuts, so this should really help with anything if I get any other funny sizes. And yeah, I've got lock threads, and yeah, that's about it. They're all high tensile bolts, so they're nice and strong. We can get obviously the caliper on, which is still there over on the vise. So yeah, I'm hoping to really get that whole side done and go from there basically. So I'll update you once we've got some more work done basically. So yeah, let's get on with it. Right, so just a little bit of an update here for you guys. So yeah, basically been a bit busy, and we've got most of this area tidied up and done with. So we've got the hub arm back on with the new wheel bearing. We've got the tie rod put back on. We've got the anti-roll bar link put back on, and the anti-roll bar bush on this side done. Drive shafts back in. You've seen the wishbones already on. The coilover strut bolts are back on, and then we got the lower ball joint as well, which has been put back in with a brand new nut as well. And yeah, that's about it. So just waiting on some parts basically, which I can't get today because it's a Sunday unfortunately. So I've got a new hub nut, and that just goes straight on there basically. That's a 30mm nut, and we can smash this on with a gun in a sec. Yeah, so calipers up there waiting to be put back on. We've got the line crimped here, and I just need to take the line off here, which looks like, I'm assuming I'll take it off from this end, because I don't think you can get, unless you can take it off from there. Oh, I might be able to take it off from there, from that end. Yeah, so I need to get this off, but I can't do that yet because I do need new bolts for the caliper mount parts here and here. They seem to have a different thread for some reason, so I can't just use a standard high tensile bolt in there. And then the 2 bolts that hold the caliper slider pins in, one looks like, or one, I don't know if I can show you there, come on, one looks like that basically, so where it's completely threaded on the end of it, so that's no good. The other one's okay, but obviously I need a pair. And yeah, so that's about it really. I've got, what's that, 1, 2, 3, I've got 4 bolts holding me up at the minute, and I can't move any further forward with this side. So what I'm going to do for today, because it is only quite early on the Sunday and I can't get those bolts yet, so we've managed to get quite a lot done here anyway. Like I say, I'm going to buzz this nut on, and then we'll go around to the other side, and I've got to do all of this again basically. So I've been soaking that side in WD-40 for the last 4 days, and I just hope that's weakened some of the nuts and bolts off, and we don't get as much trouble as we have had this side. So yeah, I'll get all this stuff packed up and moved around to that side, and we'll see you around there. Okay guys, so this is yeah, an update from the other side here, basically, that we're working on. So what we've done so far is we've managed to get the caliper off, which is just hanging down there with the hammer propping it up. We've managed to not shear any bolts yet, luckily, and yeah, so we've just got the caliper off, and then I've just about to get this this ghetto, well, basically a stud nut conversion, which I'm not a big fan of. I do like the proper stud nut conversions, but they are a lot of money for what they are. So I've bought standard bolts to basically go back in, and yeah, so I've just got this. Look, they're coming off pretty easily, so that wasn't even tight, which to me, I don't really like the idea of my wheel nuts being that loose. So yeah, same again, just got to do everything again this side. Got tie rod, ball joint, anti-roll bar, and the wishbone there. So yeah, we've got a fair amount of work in front of us, but this way, you know, I've already done it once, so I know how much what to do with it, what bolts need what, and what kind of you know, method to get them off, basically. Like I say, I've soaked all these nuts and bolts the last 4 days, so fingers crossed, so far we've been alright, and hopefully this side goes a lot quicker than that side. But yeah, I'll update you when I get a little bit further. Right guys, so it's another day, but I'm doing a bit of filming, a little bit each and every day. I tend to do a little bit of work in the evenings after work, and then if I can, get like sort of half a day to sort of a whole day on the weekend to try and get most of this sort of work done. So basically, from when I last updated you, I had most of this off, and we got the anti-roll bar on, we got the caliper off. Now this nut here was very seized again, and I could not get it off for the life of me. My impact wasn't strong enough, and I've just been down to Halfords and bought a breaker bar for this, and then I was going to wedge a screwdriver in the disc and put the disc back on. But I thought, well, what I'll try is I wrapped a plastic bag around the hub here, and then I stuck a cable tie around the hub centric part here, and then pierced a little hole at the top, and then just filled that with penetrating fluid and WD-40. So I just had that clip basically going around that, and then just sealed that up with plastic, and then I put a rubber glove over that as well, just to seal it in as well, and left that overnight, just filled it completely, so this whole bit was full of fluid. And so this little nut here, little I say, 30mm nut, was soaked all night basically, and all day today. And so I've come back, I thought I'll buy a breaker bar on the way home, so I've gone and bought one of them. I thought, right, let's see, because I forgot about this by the time I got home. I thought I'll give this a go with my my impact, and just whiz it and just keep going at it for a little bit. I did about 6 different sort of hits on it, and eventually I started to see it move, and then it just went and caved in. So I'm so glad I managed to get this off, because these are an absolute pain in the arse. So yeah, that's off. I'm going to take the 2 bolts out the coil arm here, and then we can get this whole hub off, and then I need to get this down to a workshop again, and we can do a front wheel bearing again. Obviously I can't do that here because you need a heavy duty press to press the new one in. So yeah, so I'll be doing this, getting this off, and just a small update for you guys and seeing how it's getting on basically. But we're getting there, slowly but surely. but we're getting there. I've got the new bolts coming. I've ordered them today. They should be here for the weekend. It's Monday today though. So I've got new caliper bolts, and I've got the new bolts that go into the slider pins on the caliper as well. You would not believe how expensive the bolts are just for this. I am getting them from a main dealer because when I looked at the bolts on the caliper that hold the caliper to the arm of the hub here, they are... I'm not too great with threads and stuff like that on things, but I think you know, usually you use sort of a 1.5 pitch thread on a bolt, but for some reason, I have no idea why Renault decided to. There must be a reason. If you guys might know, one of you might know. The pitch on the bolt to hold the caliper to the hub was smaller, like the splines on the actual bolt are smaller. So obviously if I put a standard nut in there, which I have plenty of, the threads were wider apart, meaning I'm guessing you would damage the threads inside, which then obviously you're into much bigger problems. And I definitely do not want to cross thread any of the bolts on these, because this arm here, this hub arm, I cannot find a replacement anywhere unless someone is breaking one, which rarely comes up. They are extremely hard to get hold of. You can get the front bit here, you can get the drive shaft, you know, you can get everything else. I cannot find one of these, and I was getting worried when I had a few bolts shear off on one of these as well, that I'd have to drill them out, and I didn't want to damage the threads inside. But luckily we're not at that stage, so that's fine. But like I say, I've got the new bolts coming, and for how much would you reckon 4 slider pin bolts are and 4 caliper hub bolts are to bolt into this car? Go on, have a guess. No. No. Oh, you might have. No. Okay. They're about £35 for 8 bolts. I know it's going to be absolutely shocking, and you could probably get them from somewhere else, but they have to be of obviously 10.9 high tensile strength, and like I said about earlier, the pitch of the thread has to be of a certain depth as well, and I'm not 100% sure which pitch it is for these bolts. I just know it's smaller, so just to be safe, I do not want to cross thread the original ones in here. So I've gone to the main dealer, ordered the bolts. They're coming in Saturday, and we can get all this tied in, basically. That's the only thing stopping me from putting the other side back together, and obviously they're a very, very crucial part to put back together, along with the Loctite to obviously put them back in. So yeah, little update for you guys. Hub arms coming off, new wheel bearing, and hopefully new bolts for the calipers to come, and then we can start doing the wishbone behind that, get the Powerflex bushers in, and go from there. Really, you know, rebuild the caliper, everything we've done on the other side, basically. So yeah, we'll go from there, and I'll update you, well, hopefully shortly. Okay, guys. So yeah, we're down the garage again tonight. Obviously, this will be probably joined to another video that's already from another evening. But what I was saying before, we've got the drive shaft out, and we've got the hub arm off. And then with this, we just needed a new wheel bearing pressed in, so I bought a new wheel bearing and took it down to my local garage and got them to fit it in, so big shout out to them, big help for that. And then the drive shaft that came out, the CV boots weren't looking very good on this side, so I got both of them swapped, considering the inside, which is this one, the clip wasn't even attached. It had actually come off as an MOT failure, I think it was. So that had come off, and the grease has spat out a little bit inside the engine babes, but that's fine, we can clean that up. So yeah, we've got 2 new boots on both sides. We can whack this back in. We've got new clips all round as well, so that's nice and new. We didn't do the other side because that wasn't really necessary. We can always do that at a later date if obviously if anything was to happen, but there's no point replacing stuff that's doesn't need to be done. So yeah, we've got these bits back. That's a big step forward. We need to get the wishbone arm off next, because that's the next thing that's actually well, in line with what needs to come off. So we've just strapped the caliper up here, and then we need to get this wishbone arm off, and then we can swap the ball joint here at the end and swap the power flex bushes out on there basically. So yeah, that's as far as I've got tonight, and yeah, we'll try and get those bolts off. Hopefully they don't give me no trouble, and go from there, and I'll give you an update. So it's a new day, guys. So yeah, we're still working on the calipers, working on the driver's side at the minute. I've got the passenger side back off again because I realised when I was looking at this one, the bleed nipple, bleed screw that basically goes into the back of the caliper looked very crusty and didn't look very good, and like with most bolts on this car, have all been seasoned and shearing off, and one of these was, you know, exactly the same basically. So one came out luckily alright, this one didn't. So I've ordered a set of 4 bleed screws, so I'm going to do the lot when I do the other 2, the rear ones. And yeah, I thought I'd show you guys. Just basically rebuilding this caliper at the minute. It's dead simple. It's not as daunting as people probably think if you're thinking of doing it. Just take your time. It's really easy. There's like 5 components, if that, to the whole rebuild. And yeah, you can't really kind of get it wrong, really, if that makes sense. Like, there is certain things that you must do, but obviously it's you just got to get stuck in basically and get involved. Look at a YouTube video and that'll show you how to do it. So yeah, I just thought I'd show you guys how I do it, and this is how I've been shown to do it. And yeah, so we got this one all rebuilt, so it's sort of a before and after. This is what it should look like. So we've got the new brake pads, and then you can see the silver ring there that holds the gator onto the piston, and then we've got new boots here for the slider pins. We've got new bolts on the back for all of the caliper bolts for the slider pins and on the rear, and then we've got our new helded brake line. And then I had some photos on Instagram of me trying to fit this. Again, this end seized up typically. Obviously not on this line, but on the old one. So that's had to be cut off, and I had to buy a flaring kit, which weren't so happy about, but we've done that as well. So we've got new flares, new lines to the front. So that's got a new end on there. I don't think you can really see it there. No, you can't really see it, but there's a line in there basically, and that's all been sorted. So that end's done. I've got to do the same to the other side because that's rounded off as well. Yes, we were using proper flare nut spanners with the right size, so that's what you should be using on any brake lines, fuel lines, anything that's well, basically needs better grip on, basically, because the nuts are very soft on those, so they can shear off nice and easily. So yeah, mine rounded off nice and easy. As you can imagine, they're probably the originals, and this being a 2-year-old car. So yeah, they wouldn't have done too well. So like I say, I'm going to build this caliper. We got the piston out. That was an absolute ball ache. This is the piston here. You can see it's got some corrosion on the outside of it, which I wasn't expecting too much of, to be honest, because the other one was okay. So I was a bit miffed as to why this one would be any different, but it is. We managed to get the other one off relatively easily. Like I said, with the bike pump, you just need one of those like plastic tube ends so that you can seal it up with some like tissue basically. And then the new one, the second one even, the one I took off, the piston, like I said, piston was stuck. So this one wasn't working with the bike pump, so I had to use my car tyre inflator compressor. And same thing, stuck some like foam tape around the nozzle so it obviously seals any air leaks, and then just stuck it into the bleed nipple valve here, and then that obviously pushes the piston out. I was reading on the gauge when it was doing it, it was coming up to 120 psi for this one. So that's how badly seized it was in there. So that would be why our brake efficiency wasn't so good. But I knew that would probably be the case anyway, so that's why I've got obviously the full rebuild kit. When you do these things, it's always best to do the whole lot, eliminate any issues, and it saves time in the long run while you've got it all off, because then you've got to take it off again if they were to ever go wrong. So yeah, we'll get this rebuilt, and yeah, I'll show you on time lapse.
This is a Ryan Little production.
There we go, guys, so that's how you push in a piston. So yeah, just 2 clamps and just a sturdy bit of steel and a little assistance with a hammer just every now and then. Just tap it, just it gives it a little shunt in, and yeah, we're doing pretty well. So the seal's in there, so you need to put the seal on the back of the actual piston as you push it in, because then that creates the seal to naturally shove it into the edges of the piston, so you can sort of clamp it in there without having to sort of put it in by hand. It can do it itself naturally. So yeah, that's all looking pretty good. So we just need to put the I don't know what you call it, like a guide. Oh, what would you call it? Like a circlip almost that goes around the edge. So that's just in here. There we go, so just one of these, and then that goes around the little first ridge there, basically, and then that just holds it tight to the piston and doesn't let any crap and fluids and obviously any brake fluid coming out, so it creates the seal on that nice and tight. And that's about it really, guys. The only thing that's left in the packet is slider pin rubbers and a bleed nipple cover. So like I say, we're waiting on the bleed nipples. They should hopefully be through my door today, and we can get this finished up. So yeah, that's about it really. I've got new bolts for it, and we've just got to put the new line on, which is just sitting right there. But other than that, that's pretty much how you rebuild a caliper really on a Mark 1 Clio. So yeah, nothing really to it. Just needs a bit of care with it, obviously not to tear any of these rubbers. But other than that, just make sure all your surfaces are clean, and you've got any of the oxidized. Make sure you've got any of the make sure you've got any of the rust that's basically in there just cleaned off. I just used a bit of 800 grit sandpaper and just gave it a smooth surface inside the barrel, and then along the where the square rubber seal goes inside. And yeah, you should be good really. Just clean up at the edges, clean up the face, and yeah, that's about it really. Just stops any contamination straight in there and creates a better seal. And that's about it really, guys. So yeah, not too difficult, not too daunting. All I can say is just get stuck in yourselves and give it a go really. What's the worst that can happen? Just the best thing to do is just take your time, and if you're ever unsure about anything, there's loads of information on YouTube, even if they're not your same brake calipers. the theory, the method, if you like, is still the same. So to an extent, so obviously you've just got to adapt it to your type of caliper, and that's about it, really, guys. Just make sure you've got plenty of brake fluid and copper C's for all the bolts, and we can start reassembling it and putting it back on the car. Really, I'll give this just a slight lick of paint. I'm not too fussed about it looking showcase, you know, but it's had a slight lick of paint on the outside, the bits that you see. But yeah, we'll just give these surfaces a clean up where the rest of the caliper is exposed to the elements, and yeah, that's about it, really, guys. So yeah, if you like this video, guys, don't forget to leave a like, and if you want to see more, obviously don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And yeah, I've got a couple of weeks off, basically, coming up in a week. So after this next week, I have 2 full weeks to try and get this car. That is my deadline, basically, for this car, to then try and get this through its second MOT. It did fail, unfortunately, quite miserably on some very silly stuff, but the car has been sitting for 4 years and it is its first MOT with me. So the car, I've tracked the history back to it, and it's been track dayed ever since 2009 at least, that I know of, possibly longer. So it's had a hard life, you know. It's got the original calipers on it, so someone's clearly not done any maintenance there or upgraded them. All they've done, I noticed, was they put some better pads on and better discs. They never refurbished the calipers themselves. They never put braided brake lines on like I have. So all this is going to be, you know, it's had a hard life, and it's slowing me down, basically, trying to sort out all those rusty bolts. But what can you do? It's an old car, and she's had a hard life, but she will live again. So yeah, that's about it for now, guys. So like I say, if you like the video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video, guys. Thanks for watching.